Students, in the previous lecture we have already discussed about one of the important cross of Mendel, that is monohybrid cross. Now in this lecture we will discuss about the dihybrid cross, where we get two different characteristics from the same plant. Okay, we will discuss about this now. See here, in the previous cross we have just crossed with the tall plant and the short one, which was called the monohybrid cross, where we got the ratio of dominant and recessive as 3:1. Now this cross will show the two different characteristics. Okay, in the same plant we have tall round seeds, and for the short and wrinkled seed. So this is one plant, short plant and wrinkled seeded, and this is one plant, tall plant and round seeded. So as you can see here, we are representing tall plant with capital T as before, and round seeds we are taking as dominant, so capital R. So here all four you can see, these are the traits which are shown as dominant one, and this is short, small t, wrinkled seed, small r represented like this. These are all recessive one. So this cross is called what? Dihybrid cross, because we are taking two different characteristics from the same plant. Okay, so now you can see for the previous cross you have got the gametes where there was only small t. Now we will get the gamete where in the previous cross you have got the gamete as capital T and small t for the both, separately, but here you will get capital T R, here you will get small t, small r. Okay, now these two are the gametes. We can write here like this, gametes. Okay, and then gametes unite to form the first filial generation, as I told you before also. This is F1 generation, capital T, small t, capital R, small r. Unite this two and you get this F1. So what is the next stage? F1 into F1. That means we have to make a cross between F1 and F1. Let's see now. So F1 into F1. Now see, if we want to plot this like arrow diagram, so this will be difficult. So I have plotted it in a box type drawing, that is called what? Punnett square, or it is also called what? Checkerboard. So I have tried to draw here like this. Okay, so you complete this box also. Now okay, now you can see here I have represented the gametes, male gametes. Suppose here how we are representing male like this, and how we are representing female like this, and we are putting it in this box. Okay, this is female and this I have tried to show you as male. So we are putting the gametes here. From this one we get the gamete like capital T R, capital T small r, small t capital R, small t small r. This also same you will write here. One set you write here for this one, one set you write here for this one. Okay, suppose this is male and this is female, so write like this. Right, so get the gametes here. Now you try to cross this with this one, this one, this one, this one and this one. 4 times we have to cross this one with all 4. So capital T, you can see here, you can easily understand capital T, capital R, capital R, capital T, capital R, small r, capital T, small t, capital R, capital T, small t, capital R, small r. Like this 4, 4 sets are there. Here also 4 sets. You complete this like this. Okay, so after completing, how will you complete? You have to combine this one and this one, then again this one with this one, this one with this one. First set complete, then second one, this one with again this one. See, you can easily understand capital T, capital R, small r. So I've used blue and red to represent all this. So you fill it up, this Punnett square, and then what will you get is the ratio between the plants that were crossed. Okay, the characteristic features that you will get is, so you can see tall round there are 9, tall wrinkled there are 3, short round 3, and short wrinkled is 1. So I'll tell you now how to find out the tall round. Tall round will have what? capital T, capital T, capital R for tall round, or capital T, small t, capital R, small r for tall round? Because this is recessive, this is recessive. Which one will express? Capital T and R. This will express. The express means this will come in the next generation. We can easily see this character in the next generation. So the dominant characters will express. Okay. So this is also tall round. T, capital R, small r. Capital T, small t. Capital T, small t, capital R. This is also tall round. Capital T, small t, capital R, small r. This is also tall round. So we got in the first line all are tall round. Let us in the second line, capital T, capital R, small r. This is also tall round. Now this is capital T, small r. This is tall. It is not round. Then we get here what? Wrinkled. We have taken small r for wrinkled. So this is not tall round. So here capital T, capital R, small r. This is tall round. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 we got. Capital T, small r is not tall round because this is recessive. Capital T, small t, capital R, tall round. We got how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Capital T, capital R, small r. This is also tall round. 8. Small t, capital R. This is not tall. This is short round. Small t, capital R, small r. This is also short, so we will not use this one. Again here, capital T, capital R, small r. This is tall round. Rest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So we get tall round as what? 9. Okay. How many tall round? 9. Then we find out the tall and wrinkled one. So what will be the genotype of this tall and wrinkled? We can say here tall is for capital T, wrinkled small r. See, this is a recessive character. So recessive character will always be represented when both are there. Okay, in homozygous situation. So small r should be there because they are recessive. So that will represent wrinkle. One dominant characteristic cannot be present to represent the recessive one. So this is capital T, small r, or capital T, small r for the tall wrinkled, right? So let us find out where is tall wrinkle. Capital T, small t, capital R, no. These four are already taken for tall round. So let us see the next line. Capital T, small r, this one. Next we can see capital T, small r, this one, another one. Then we want capital T, small r here. So we get for 1, 2 and 3. For tall wrinkle we get how many? 1, 2 and 3. Then we need short round. For short round the features will be small t, capital R, small t, capital R, small r. For short round, let us find out. Small t, capital R, small r, right? Let us find out again. Small t, capital R, small r, 2. One more small t we need. Let us see here. Small t, capital R. So we get what? Short round. So how many? 1, 2 and 3. So tall round 9, tall wrinkle 3, short round 3, and we need what? Short wrinkled. This is the short wrinkled, which is 1. That means short wrinkled is what? Small t, small r. There is only 1. So we get what? 1. So how many total? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So the ratio is 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1. So total is what? 16. So we got the dominant one. Tall round is 9. Tall wrinkled as 3. Short round as 3 and short wrinkled as 1. So 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1 is the ratio of the dihybrid cross that was done by Mendel. So whenever any cross will be there which will follow this ratio, that means they are following the Mendel's law. Any diversion from this ratio, that means they are not following the Mendel's law. This also exists in nature. Always it is not that Mendel's law will be followed by all the organisms or all the plants. So different organisms will follow different characteristic patterns, which are the exceptions of the Mendel's law. But when Mendel's law is followed, so you have to see this ratio that the plant is following or not. So this is a dihybrid one where we are taking the two pairs of characters. So this is 9:3:3:1. What about the monohybrid ratio? The ratio we got is 3:1 for the dominant is to recessive one. Whatever characteristic you take, this is shown by us. But whatever characteristic you can take, and for the dominant we will always have to represent with a capital letter. For the recessive we will represent with the small letter. And remember, that means the dominant one can be expressed externally if we have capital T and small t together also, or whatever alphabets you are taking for any characters. But the recessive one should be homozygous condition, that is small r, or whatever character you are taking and representing with any alphabet. The recessive characters will be represented only when both are present, like RR. Okay, like small r, small r. So if both are not present, then one capital and small is present, then the capital, that is the dominant one, will be expressive in the offspring. Okay, so this is about the dihybrid cross that was performed by Gregor Johann Mendel, who is known as the father of genetics. So after studying this process and after performing the experiments, Mendel found out three laws. Law of dominance, number one is first law of dominance, and where it is, the characters are controlled by discrete factors or units. Okay, the characteristic features are controlled by what? The factors. As you can see that I told that tall is controlled by one factor, short is controlled by another. So characteristics are controlled by units, which are called what? Factors. The factors will always occur in pair. Okay, as you have seen, capital T I have shown with pair. In a dissimilar pair of factors, one member of the pair dominates the other, the recessive. Just now I told that one member will be dominating, another one will be recessive. Like if you represent dominant with capital T, then recessive will be represented by small t, and this one will dominate the capital one. The next law is law of segregation, where we can see alleles do not show any blending. Gametes receive only one of the two factors. So as you have seen, I told you that capital T, if it is present in the parents, then gametes will contain any one of the factors. Only one of the two factors will be present in the gamete, not both. This is law of segregation. And the third law is law of independent assortment. So law of independent assortment shows what? When two pairs of traits are combined in a hybrid, segregation of one pair is independent of the other pair of characters. So what is told that whenever there is a pair of characters or traits which are combined and to form the hybrid, then segregation of one pair, when we are segregating one pair, it is independent of the other pair of characters. Both are independent. Whatever segregation is done, both are done independently. They are not related to each other. So this is independent assortment. We have to assort them independently. Okay. So these are the three laws: law of dominance, law of segregation, and law of independent assortment. So dihybrid cross shows law of independent assortment, where you can see two pairs of traits, they are combined and to form an hybrid, and then segregation of this takes place independently of the other pair of characters. Okay. So how do these characteristic features that we are talking about are transmitted from one generation to the next? This is by the transmission of the DNA. Okay, this is the DNA, which is called the deoxyribonucleic acid, which is the information source for making what? Proteins. So DNA helps in formation of what? The proteins. And these proteins are necessary for the life processes. So the section of the DNA that provides the necessary information for the formation of the protein, this section of DNA is called the gene for that protein. Okay, and these proteins control the characteristic features that we are talking about here in the transmission of heredity. Okay. So like suppose we are talking about the growth and development, like the height of the plant. Plants' heights are dependent on what? The hormones. It helps in the growth. Our height also depends on what? The hormones. And the hormones secretion is dependent on the enzyme. This helps in making the hormone. Okay. And the enzymes are the secretions that will help in this process. If the enzyme will work efficiently, then there will be a lot of hormones for the growth, and if the enzyme will not work efficiently, then there will be very less growth, because hormones will also be less. So there are some genes for these enzymes. Genes means the section of the DNA that will code for the protein. So there are some genes for the enzymes also, which if altered, if any change is there, then the growth and development of the plants and the animals will also be altered. Like you can see, these genes are also present who will control the development of the enzyme, the secretion of the enzyme. So enzymes are having what? Genes. If they are altered, then the growth and development of an individual or a plant can also be altered. Every living material contains what? Genes. If any alteration will be there, this will alter the growth and development or all the characteristics of the individual. So both the parents do what? Both the parents contribute what? They will contribute the genetic material to the offspring. Some of the characteristic features will come from the father, some of the characteristic feature will come from the mother. So like we have discussed in the Mendel's laws, like first law of dominance, where we have seen that one of the characteristic comes as a gamete from both the parents. Like for tall, capital T, for gamete what will come? Capital T. And for the short one, the gamete will be small t. So one set will come from the parents. So each cell of the parents will contain 2 copies of each chromosome. What we are representing with the traits are what? Actually the chromosome. So 2 copies of each chromosome will be present in the parents from male and female. Okay, where they are getting this from? They are getting this each from the male and female parents. Each cell will have how many copies of chromosome? 2 copies of each chromosome, which is derived from the parents. So the gamete will have what? 1 copy. If each cell has 2, then gamete will have half the number, that is 1 copy. 1 will be present in the gametes, either of the maternal side or from the paternal. The mother or the father will provide one chromosome to each, so they will get, each gamete will get how many? 1. Then these 2 gametes, one will combine, one male, another female, both the chromosome combines to give what? Again the same number of chromosomes are formed. So we have 2 copies in each cell which have come from the parents. Then while there is a formation of the gametes, then 1 copy is there, that means only 1 single set is there, and then 1 from the male, 1 from the female combined together to give the same number of chromosomes in the offspring or progeny. So there is stability of DNA in the species, yes or no? So once again I will tell, suppose I'll show you with the cross once again. As you can see here, see capital T is represented for tall and this is for short, okay, and this is male and this is what? Female. So from, you can see the cell contains 1 set, 1 pair of these characters, so this will come as 1 in the gamete. From this 2, that is 1 pair, 1 will come in the gamete. This is what? Gametes. This is always what? Haploid. Haploid means chromosome number is reduced to half. So if the chromosome number was 2, suppose here capital T, small t is 2. So in the gamete how many are there? 1. Here also capital T, how many? 2. And here how many? 1. So 1 and 1 they combine together to form capital T, small t, which is how many? 2. So we are getting the same chromosome number as the parents. This is what? The progeny, the offspring. The other name of progeny is the child or the offspring. So this shows what? DNA stability. From the parents we are getting the child, but the number of chromosomes for existence is same. Only the gametes you have the haploid set. Okay, now I'll show you by showing the chromosome number of the human being. 46 is the total number of chromosomes for a man. So when gametes will be formed, this is male gamete and this is female gamete. Okay, this is male and this is female gamete, suppose. So they unite to form the child. So how many will be formed? 46. So is this showing the DNA stability? Yes. So this is the human being which will produce the male gamete and the female gametes. Gametes will only unite. Then after uniting, they will produce the progeny or the child which will contain the same number of chromosomes as the parents. Okay, why I have written like this? You know, both sides I have written male and female. You can write separate also like this, 46 male, 46 female. Okay, then from here gamete is 23. Here also gamete is 23. Then the gametes unite. Then we get what? 46 same to same. Okay, to represent human being in common, I have written what? 46 together. So this is male and this is female. They are producing the gametes. Gametes are haploid. So suppose 46 is diploid condition. That means 2n. When we get 23, this is n. This is also n. N plus n, 46, this is also 2n. So this shows what? The stability of the DNA, which is the basis of the inheritance, which is the basis of the rules of the Mendelian principles. Okay, right? So just to follow the videos and the crosses that I have shown, and in the next class we will be completing the small part of the chapter, that is sex determination, which is still left. So we'll do in the next lecture. Okay, so for today you practice this type of crosses.